This place is buzzing today. I know, right? Everyone's here. And they're all looking at us. Excuse me. I said, excuse me. Sorry, I just thought I could. You thought. That's the problem. You came in here with that thing on your head, those shoes that look like they survived the flood. And you thought you could sit at this table next to me. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Look at me. Now look at yourself. If you are not polished, do not stand near us. You are too much, Daz. Too much. This is going on my story. This is going on my story right now. Let it go. Let everybody see. If you are not polished, do not stand near us. Write it on your wall.
That girl with the tray was named Adana. She had used her food allowance for the entire week, just to buy that small wig. She went to the bathroom. She cried. She took the wig off, and she never wore it to the cafeteria again. But Daz walked out of that cafeteria like she had just won something. She had no idea that 2 tables away, a girl had watched everything, quietly, and had already decided. Fola University sits on the edge of Lagos State, like a promise someone made and have kept. It was built for books, for ideas, for the kind of learning that stays in your bones, long after the exam is over. But somewhere between the first lecture hall and the last hostel block, another curriculum took root. No timetable, no lecture, no graduation. But every student knew the syllabus by heart. The syllabus was this: how you look is who you are. And the girls who had mastered that subject, who had turned their appearance into armor, into power, into a throne, were known by one name. The polished 3, Daz led, always Daz. Her full name was Adaeze, but nobody on campus used that name anymore. Names like that belong to mothers and villages, not to someone like her. Kem was sharper, quieter, the one whose eyes missed nothing and forgave nothing. And Fifi loud, bright, the one who made sure everyone was watching. Because what was the point of being polished if nobody saw the shine? Together, they moved through Fola University, the way royalty moves through a crowd, like the ground had been expecting them.
See me. Just see me. This wig alone costs more than 3 people's school fees combined. And it shows. Everything about us shows, Fifi. That's the point. Stop celebrating yourself in the mirror. We have a lecture in 20 minutes. Since when do we rush for lectures? We don't rush. We arrive. There's a difference. She said we arrive. Daz, you need to write a book. No book, just results. Now let's go. Let them see us.
And that was it. That was the whole philosophy. Let them see us. Boys sat up straighter when they passed. Girls checked their own reflections in phone screens. Even lecturers cleared their throats for no reason. Their slogan rolled through every corridor, through every cafeteria line, through every hostel block on campus. If you're not polished, do not stand near us. Nobody asked where the money came from. Nobody dared. Because in Fola, asking that question made you sound jealous. And nobody wanted to sound jealous. So they kept quiet. And the polished 3 kept shining. There is a road in Abeokuta, 3 hours from Fola University, where the zinc rooftops rust quietly in the rainy season. On one of those streets, in a compound shared by 4 families, lived a woman the whole neighborhood called Mama Daz. Every morning, before the sun, before the city remembered it was alive, she lit a fire. She fried akara in hot oil. Her hands had borne scars from 20 years of doing this. She had never complained about them, not once.
Mama Daz.
How was today?
3 tires today. 1 customer ran without paying. My back started again.
Drink first. Talk later.
The school fees reminder came again. The second one. How much are we short?
40,000. I'll talk to Yabosi about borrowing the stall space for 2 more weeks. Morning and evening. We'll get it.
You're going to wake up even earlier?
Adaeze needs that degree. I'll wake up at 3 if I have to.
That was the home Adaeze came from. That was the fire she was born next to. That was the back that bent so she could stand straight. But Adaeze had not called home in 6 weeks. She had a new wig, a new phone, a new life. And the girl who once watched her mother's hands move through hot oil before sunrise had decided she would never go back to that. Not for anything. Not for anyone. The polished 3 had a secret. Campus never saw what happened after the last lecture on Fridays. The changed clothes, the cap, always a different one, never the same driver twice. The part of Lagos where the music was louder, and the men were older, and the money moved in ways that didn't ask questions. It was Kem who had opened that door 18 months ago, on a night when Daz had 30 naira left in her account, and 3 weeks until the next stipend.
I'm telling you, Daz, you just have to show up, look good, dance, laugh at their jokes. By the time you leave, your problems are solved. Kem, these are not our kind of men. You know what they want. And you know what we want? New wig, better phone, eat well, stop borrowing Fifi slippers. We all want something, Daz. My father drives Okada. My mother fries akara. If they knew, they're not going to know. Just this once. Just this once.
Just this once. That is what Adaeze told herself. 18 months ago, she was still telling herself that. Her name was Tola. She arrived mid-semester with a Ghana must-go bag, a battered Bible, and a silence that made people slightly uncomfortable. Her hair was natural. Her clothes were clean but ordinary. She was not performing, and in Fola, that caused you. Within her first week, 3 different girls had looked her up and down. 2 had laughed. 1 had told her, not unkindly, but not kindly, that she needed to package herself if she wanted to make friends. She had smiled at all of them and said nothing, because Tola had grown up in a church where the pastor preached one thing above everything else. A lie is too heavy to carry forever. Sooner or later, it finds the ground.
They're here. They're here. Look, look. The polished 3. Daz, Kem, and Fifi. See that wig? That's the new Brazilian. 60,000 naira at least. And that bag, Tola, that bag. They're just girls. Just girls? Tola, you have not been on this campus long enough. These ones are not just girls. These ones are a whole government. Every government falls. You're strange, you know that? I've been told.
Tola watched them for 2 more weeks. Watched how the campus rearranged itself around them. Watched who got mocked, who got laughed at, who walked away with burning eyes. She watched Daz most of all, not with envy, not with judgment, with the quiet patience of someone who has learned that truth always surfaces. The only question is when. And then came the morning that changed everything. Her name was Blessing. Quiet, thin, studious. She had saved for 5 months to buy a small wig. Not expensive, but it was the best she could do. And she wore it to class that Tuesday, like a small victory. She sat in the front row. She opened her textbook. She said good morning to the girl beside her. That girl happened to be Daz.
Good morning. Is this seat taken? Good morning. Good morning, she said. Where did you buy that wig, sister? The market on the expressway? The one next to the mechanic? No, don't be embarrassed. Not everyone can afford the real thing. Some people manage with what they have. But next time, sit at the back. If you are not polished, do not stand near us. This was a waste of time.
Blessing walked to the back of the hostel that night, where nobody came after 7. She sat on a concrete block, and she looked at her hands. Clean hands. Hands that had washed her own clothes since secondary school. Hands that had written the essay that won her scholarship to Fola. These hands brought me here, she thought. And they laughed at my hair.
Don't understand this. I'm not asking for their wigs. I'm not asking for their bags. I'm just asking, if pride is a sin, let it answer for itself. And if I am here for a reason, let the reason show itself.
The night was quiet around her. A gecko clicked on the wall. The generator hummed in the distance. She wiped her face and went inside. But the prayer had been heard, not just by God, by the kind of silence that holds things and waits. It was not a plan. It was instinct. 3 Fridays after Tola arrived, she was sitting near the hostel gates when she saw them slip out. Clothes that had no business being on a campus at 11 at night. Heels, dresses, freshly done hair. A cap pulled away. Something in her grandmother's voice said, "Follow this." She noted the direction. She asked a Buka woman nearby if there was a club that way. The woman looked at her, then pointed down the road.
Rich man's place. You're too young for that, my daughter. Thank you, ma.
The next Friday, Tola was ready. She borrowed a modest dress. She had just enough for transport. She told no one. Inside Chateau, the lighting made everything look glamorous, and nothing looked real. And there, at a curved booth near the back, she saw them. She watched. Men with fat wristwatches, money moving across tables, wigs bouncing under neon light. The same wigs that arrived Monday morning on their heads as if by magic. Her phone captured it, carefully, in pieces. But then, in one unguarded moment, she saw something she had not expected. Thus, when a man leaned too close, the smile dropped. Just for 1 second, something raw and exhausted passed across her face. Not a queen, not a ringleader, just a girl, tired, trapped inside the thing she had built.
She's drowning, and she doesn't even know it.
Tola went home. She sat with what she had seen, and she felt two things at once. The satisfaction of being right, and the weight of what being right was going to cost someone. She stared at the video on her phone for a long time. Then she made her decision. It was a Tuesday. The sun was already heavy by 8 o'clock. Campus was full. Ordinary Tuesday sounds. Ordinary Tuesday life. Tola stood near the main notice board. She raised her voice once. Clearly, without performance.
Something important. Please gather.
People came the way they always do, when something true is about to happen. Slowly first, then quickly. The polished tree arrived in the crowd. Before they understood what they had walked into, came first, then Fifi, then Da's weak fresh bag on her elbow, the slogan already forming on her lips.
What is this? Why is everyone gathered like this? Wait, why are they all looking this way? Fifi, don't start, just walk.
Tola looked at Das once, then she pressed play.
This is what they're really like.
Wait, is that not Daz?
That's Kem too. That's all of them in a club with those men.
Fifi already crying, backing
You don't
away.
understand what you're seeing.
We understand perfectly. We understand everything.
But Das stood still. She stood very still, because something had just happened that the crowd could not see. Behind the faculty gates, at the back of the gathering, two people had arrived on campus for the very first time. A woman in a faded Ankara blouse, holding a nylon bag. A man whose back bent slightly to the left, the way a spine bends. When it has carried too much for too long, they had come to surprise their daughter. Mama Das had saved the transport fare for 2 weeks. Baba Das had borrowed against next week's earnings to bring her a food flask, her favorite stew, the one she had asked for 3 weeks ago, that he had not forgotten. They pushed through the crowd, confused by the noise, following the sound of their daughter's name, until they found themselves at the edge of the circle, until they saw the screen. Mama Daze's hand went to her mouth. Baba Daze's food flask fell. Nobody laughed, not even the ones who had been laughing a moment before. Because that sound, that small sound, carried 22 years inside it. 22 years of 4 o'clock mornings, and hot oil, and burn scars on the back that bent from carrying, and a father who said, "This one will carry us."
Adaeze.
Just the name, the real name, not Das, not the ringleader, Adaeze. 3 syllables that broke through every wall. She had spent 18 months building. Adaeze fell to her knees on the ground, not for the crowd. She simply had no more standing left in her. That evening, Baba Falana called a gathering. He was the university chapel elder, 30 years on that campus. He had seen everything, at least twice. He did not call a hearing, not a trial, a gathering, the old way, where truth is heard, and consequence is measured with wisdom, not revenge. Kem and Fifi came because they had nowhere else to go. Daz came because her parents were still on campus, sitting in the waiting room, her mother's nylon bag of food still unopened on the bench.
I'm not here to judge you tonight. The campus already did that this morning. I'm here to understand something. Adaeze, tell me about home, not the one you built here, the real one.
My mother wakes at 4 o'clock every morning. She fries akara so I can have school fees. Her hand has scars from the oil. I've looked at these scars since I was small. I never told her I noticed. I came to Fola and everyone had things I didn't have. I was the scholarship girl, the one from the zinc roof. And I was ashamed. I was so ashamed. I didn't know how to go back to being nothing.
You were never nothing, child. That is the lie that started all of this. What you did to earn this lifestyle, wrong. What you did to other students, the mocking, the cruelty, using your shine to put out other people's light, also wrong. The shame feel today, use it. Don't just survive it, use it.
The room was silent, in the way rooms go silent when something true has been said inside them. Tola was there. Blessing was there. Girls who had been mocked, girls who had walked away with burning eyes. They were all there. Nobody cheered. Nobody threw words like stones. After the gathering, Adaeze found her parents, still sitting in the waiting room. Her mother's nylon bag was still on the bench, still unopened. She stood in the doorway for a moment, not knowing how to enter, not knowing if she still had the right.
Mama, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Everything you did, the akara, the 4 o'clock mornings, Papa's back, I threw it away. You did not come this far from my akara fire to go back without a degree. I didn't wake at 4 o'clock for 22 years to bring in my daughter home empty. You will stay, you will finish, but you will finish as yourself, not as this person you have been wearing.
I made the stew you like, the one with extra pepper. Eat.
That was all, but it was everything. The wig came off that evening, not torn, not burned, simply removed, folded, placed under the bed. What was underneath was Adaeze's own hair, natural, shorter than she remembered, soft, entirely her own. She looked in the mirror for a long time. She looked like a girl from Abeokuta, whose mother woke at 4 o'clock, whose father's back bent from carrying. She looked, for the first time in 18 months, like herself. The next morning, Blessing knocked, not to gloat, not to deliver a speech. She came with a small container of rice, the kind of rice you make when you have very little, but you want to give something anyway.
I made extra. Eat. I don't deserve this. I know. Eat it anyway. Why? Because I prayed for justice, and I think this is what it looks like. Not you suffering, you changing.
Adaeze ate the rice. She cried. Blessing sat with her until she stopped. They did not become best friends immediately. Life doesn't work that cleanly, but something between them shifted. From wound to scar to, eventually, just skin. By the end of that semester, something quiet had changed at Fola University. Not a revolution, not a movement with a name, just a shift. One person, one honest moment, one Saturday morning at a time. Adaeze sat in the hostel common room. No announcement, no audience, just her voice and the truth she had been carrying.
I'm not here to preach. I'm just here to say what I wish someone had said to me the day I arrived at this campus. Your value is not in your wig, is not in your phone, is not in your bag. I know because I built my whole life on those things. And when they were taken, there was nothing underneath.
Tola came one Saturday and sat at the back. She didn't say much, but at the end, she spoke.
I wanted justice. I didn't know it would look like this. You didn't destroy me, Tola. You just forced me to meet myself. I'm not glad it happened the way it happened, but I'm glad it happened.
Campus still remembered. Campuses always remember, but what they said now was different. Not, if you're not polished, do not stand near us. That slogan had died the morning the food flask fell. What they said now quietly, the way things are said when they are true, was this. The girl from the akara fire came back. They meant Adaeze. They meant she had returned. Not to campus, she had never left, but to herself, to her name, to the 3 syllables her mother had spoken, that broke through everything. Mama Das came every few weeks now. No borrowed transport fare. Adaeze would meet her at the gate. She would carry the food flask herself.
You look thin,
You say that every time.
and every time it is true. Are you eating?
I am now.
You look like yourself.
I know. I'm working on being okay with that.
Your grandfather used to say, the crown you are born with needs no bobby pin to stay.
The crown she borrowed was never hers. The one she was born with, the one her mother carried through akara smoke and 4 o'clock prayers, that one had always been waiting. It does not bounce. It does not shine in club lights. It does not need a slogan, but it does not fall, and it cannot be taken.